Here we go, part 19. It's a story about redemption and definitely love and loss. It's how I became an international smuggler, got caught, and worked my way through the federal prison system in the United States, and then my road back. But the price that I would pay would be much higher than you could possibly imagine. So here we go. Part 19. So I got the phone call, and to say the least, it was it was shocking. I didn't believe it. Mum was actually she did get diagnosed with cancer a couple of years prior, but she had surgery and everything. Yeah, she was completely clean bill of health, and I was only talking to her, I believe, the day before. She was back at work. That's how crazy it was. That's why I just couldn't comprehend it. Anyway, I'll get into. We used to talk all the time, like every day, every second day. Me and Mum grew up together. She was 16 when she had me, and yeah, she was always there for every crazy ride. But she had no idea about this one. So I got the call, rolled up to Vancouver International to catch a flight home. And look, anyone that's experienced that, especially when you're so far away on the other side of the world, when something like this is going on, your head's just all over the place. You don't have time, you don't talk. You're not around your family. You're not sort of around your friends, because essentially you're leaving your friends, going back to Australia. And I hadn't lived in Australia for many years, so I didn't really have friends back here. My siblings were calling, and I just buried my head in the sand and wanted to get this. Roughly, I knew it was going to be about a 24-hour trip back. So arrived at YVR in Vancouver and checked in. At the time, I was traveling with my girlfriend. I had a girlfriend, and that's all I'm going to say, Mexican, and she agreed to come back with me for the trip, but I don't remember too much of it, just because I think it was a part that you're trying to block out. But it was incredibly nice that she came back with me, because we'd only been dating a couple of weeks, if not a month. So we arrived there, and my first flight was Vancouver to San Francisco. And I got into San Francisco just to change planes, and there was a big commotion. Not a commotion there, but they kept me there for hours and hours, and essentially just, I thought there was a problem, but again, your brain's not thinking, and you're not thinking logically at this point. So I sort of got a little bit, upset, just saying I've got to get back to Australia, because my biggest fear was Mum wasn't going to be there when I got back. And after about 2.5 hours, they said, "Yep, you're good to go." So cool. On a plane, and it was a 13 and a half hour flight from San Francisco through to Sydney. And a lot of stuff goes in your mind in that flight. Obviously, you're not getting any sleep, because I hadn't heard what's happening. I possibly thought that she wasn't going to be there when I got there. But 12, 13 hours later, I landed in Sydney. And got into Sydney, and I'm from a small town up in central Queensland. So from Sydney, had to wait a couple hours and clear customs. Had a little bit of a problem in customs. They, I'm not sure, but they were giving me a bit of a hard time in customs, until I almost broke down. It was just, I was thinking of the old girl. That's what I used to call her. And anyway, they let me go, and finally I got my domestic flight from there to Brisbane, and then from there up into Rockhampton. I had to wait 6 hours or something, and I didn't really want to talk to anyone. I just wanted to get up there. I arrived there in the afternoon after really a 24-hour flight back. So I arrived, and I think my little brother picked me up. Yeah, I think my little brother picked me up, and I said I want to go straight to the hospital. She was at a public hospital. We soon sorted that out, and just I wanted to know what happened, and I got up there, and yeah. Wow. Yeah, all these years later, still. Yeah. Anyway, this is part of the detail, I guess. So I got up there and saw her, and she had tumours in her brain, and she'd been at work with the girls. She loved her work. She was a hard worker. Yeah. Yeah. She was a good person. So she had tumours, and basically, yeah, there's nothing they could do. She'd had a stroke at work, and had a stroke at work. All the girls were at some warehouse just sorting out all these files, and I talked to her best friend, and she said she turned around and your mum was looking at me and just had a blank look, and basically what had happened is one of the tumours had touched a part of her brain and just given her a stroke, and she sat down, and that was it. She didn't pass away, but she was in, almost like this. Her eyes were open, and bit of a state, but she was there. I didn't know. Fucking hated that room she was in. So get that sorted out. And we had her shifted the next day to a private hospice room in a private hospital. So we had it all shifted, and I guess over the next week it was just visiting and just trying to comprehend, because mum was there. Her eyes were open, but it just wasn't. Yeah, there was nothing. Yeah, you could sit and watch, and it's hard when somebody's going through all of that. And I know that my little brother was, he was having a hard time with it, and so I had to be a little, definitely stronger. It's the first time I've ever seen my father cry. I walked into his bedroom one night. Me and Dave were sitting in the lounge room, and he was just on the floor, just bawling. And it was a fucked time. Cancer, all that shit is it's fucked. There's no way of putting a spin on it. And I can't say it was good. And it was just, we had family coming in. I was meeting with the doctors. Is there anything we can do? And strangely enough, over the next week, Mum started to get better, which is, she apparently, she could squeeze your hand and started making some progress. So, stay tuned. The next one.